Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. We've got an interesting one for you today. We've got some vertical tabs here. We're using a regular Divi Tab module, but we're going to make them vertical rather than horizontal, which is the default here. And of course you can add content. Great little space saver for your site. And I'll also show you a way, if you want to, you can pop up whole sections in here. So you can actually hide 6 different sections, or however many you want, inside one little tab. Really easy to do. We've got to do a little bit of coding for this today. Don't let that put you off. Any code that I write, I'll put down below the video, and you're welcome to copy it and use it as usual. All right, well, let's get started. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. And let's go down, and I'll actually delete this whole section and we'll start from scratch. So I'm going to go up to my section, the blue tab. I'm simply going to hit the trash can, delete it. Okay. Well, let's add a new section. We'll start from scratch. I'm going to click on the section above where I want to put my section. Hit the little blue button to add a new section. I'm going to make this a regular section. Inside, I'm going to put a single row and a single column. Divi comes with all these light grey modules as standard. I'm looking for the tab modules today. The blue ones I'll tell you about in a little while at the end. And there's our little tabs module. And that's a standard Divi Tabs module. Let's pop him in there. Great, well, we've got a couple of tabs there. Let's add perhaps a few more. I'm just going to clone the tab that's in there. In fact, let's get rid of this one. I'll go in there and make it the first one the color that we want the tab, perhaps, and the title that we want it. That way we can just clone it. I'm just going to say option 1. Okay, save that. It'll take us back to the main tab setting. I'm going to go ahead and clone that. And of course we'll make this option 2, or whatever you want to call yours, obviously. Okay, let's save that back in our main tab settings. I'm going to go over to my design. And we've got tab text here. Active tab, I'm going to make that purple in color. Inactive tab, I'm going to make that black. And obviously choose whatever colors work for you. And both texts, I'm going to make those white. That stands out quite nicely. Great, now we've got our colors. Let's just duplicate a few more of these. So I'm going to have maybe 6. So 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll go in. Obviously, you're going to want to change your content. These are regular text fields here. You can add media. You can justify things. You can add headings. You can add links. Do all kind of things here. I'm going to leave mine pretty much on the generic for speed here. So once you've done what you need to do, just hit the save. It'll take you back again to the main settings. We'll go into the next one. And the next one. And one left. Okay, I'm going to leave these pretty much as they are at the moment. Great, well, there's our basic structure right there. Now we're going to need to make this row full width if you want them on the left hand side, how I had mine. And also we need to give it a CSS class so we can target it with some code in a minute. Save this, go back to the main settings. We'll go over to the advanced CSS IDs and classes. Let's give this a class of, say, vert tabs, whatever you want to call yours. I like mine to make a bit of sense to me, so if I see the class name in the code, I know what it is. Call yours what you will. Let's save our changes here. Okay, let's go into the row now and make it full width. Green tab for the row. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go to design, sizing. Width, I'm going to take up to 100%, the slider. I'm going to copy the 100%, Control C, and paste it in the max width down below, Control V to paste, or you can just type it in if you want. There we go. We've got a full width row right there. Fantastic. Okay, well, let's save this now, and we'll save our changes. And let's exit the Visual Builder. Okay, well, I'm going to go down to my theme customizer now. We can write a bit of code. To get to your theme customizer, go down to your dashboard. Once we're at the dashboard, we need to roll down appearance and then customize. That's going to take us here. I've actually got my page set as the home page settings. If you need to, you can temporarily make the page that you're working on your home page if you need to see it over here in this panel under the home page settings. Now to write our code, we need to use the additional CSS panel, which is right on the bottom here. Here's the code I actually wrote for it earlier. Let's just get rid of this and we'll start again. Okay, well, we gave our tabs a class name of vert tabs, and all class names have a dot or a period in front. Then the class name itself. First thing I want to do, I want to get rid of any border that's around this. So I'm going to open and close some curly brackets. I'm going to say border, colon, none. And you may have noticed the little border's disappeared there. That's so that the content looks like it's in our little section right there. Let's put a semicolon on the end. Okay, well, we want to affect these controls here now. Let's see what the class name is. And I'm going to copy the class name that we've given our whole module here so we don't affect any other tabs. This will just affect any tabs that we gave this class name with. So let's see what our little controls are called. I'm going to inspect this, bring up the Chrome inspector. I'm using Google Chrome here. Most browsers have this feature nowadays. If yours doesn't, Google Chrome is a free download. And if you've got elements selected on one side, you'll have HTML. And if you've got styles on the other side, you'll have CSS. And what we want, let's just select it. As you roll up over things, it shows you what it is. And that's what I want there, ETPB tabs controls. So I'm going to double click, left click on that. I'm going to copy that class name, copy. And again, it's a class name, so we need to put a dot or a period in front. And then the class name, I don't need that clear effects, not quite sure where that came from. I think I copied it from down here. Don't need that bit. So I'm going to delete that. And after the controls, I'm going to open and close some more curly brackets, and we can actually tell this what we want it to do. Well, the first thing that I want this stuff to do is float left. Let's just knock this inspector down out of the way. So I'm going to say float left. Okay, not a lot's happened there. Let's tell our vertical tab to display flex, and that should pull them across. So I'm going to go down, I'm going to say display flex. That's better. As you can see, they've started to collapse a little bit right there. So let's give them a fixed width. Let's try maybe 10%. So I'm going to say width 10%. Yeah, that's collapsed them down nicely. Got a little bit of a colored background going on there. Let's put a semicolon in there. You can set a margin right if you want to push this further or nearer. So let's say margin right. Let's try 5%. And as you can see, that's pushed that further away there. That's up to you. I'm going to leave mine a little shorter than that, maybe 2%. And the width, I might take that down just a little bit too. Can we take it down to maybe 8%? No, that's going to break it. So let's leave it at 10%. And we'll get rid of this. That's just a background on there. So I can, if I tell it to have a transparent background, that should get rid of that. So we'll say background transparent. There we go. That's made that disappear, which is fantastic. Okay, well, we've got this little line here that I really don't want there. I think that's the after. So let's have a look. Let's go on that after there. Pull it up so you can see. Yeah, there it is, border top one pick solid. If I turn that off, that should disappear. Yep. So we need to get rid of that. So I can copy this class name right here. Again, we want to start off with our main class name, which is vert tabs. So we're not affecting anything else. And then the class name we just copied, got to have a period or a dot in front of it. Now we can tell it to display none. Let's open and close some curly brackets. Inside, let's roll up so you can see what's going on. Let's say display none, and that little line should disappear. Okay, that's not actually worked, so that may be, let's have a look at it again. It's actually content, so we'll say content none. Let's try that. Okay, so it's still there. I've actually put the dot, that's an unordered list. I don't need that little dot in there, so let's just get rid of that dot. That's better, that's got rid of it now. And don't forget, all this code will be down below the video. Anybody wants to copy and paste it. Fantastic. And I want to make these a little bit wider, I think, and put a little border in the bottom. So if I inspect one of these again, we've got Divi Tabs Control. And that's what we want, the list item, LI, right there. So let's copy this class name. Again, I'll put it down below here, but I want to put our regular class name in front of it. Now let's open and close some curly brackets. And I want it to take up all of the available space, so I'm going to say width 100%. That's great. That's made it a little bit wider there, and it's going to stay that size if you've got different amounts of text in yours. And let's put a light grey border on the bottom of mine just to sort of separate them a little bit. Obviously styling is entirely up to you. So I'm going to say border, bottom, and let's go for say 2 pixels, solid, and grey in colour, I think. Perfect. That sets them out a little bit. Put a little semicolon on there. Fantastic. Let's get our inspector out of the way here. Okay, that's kind of shaping up. Let's roll through that, make sure they're all going to work fine. Yeah, that works absolutely perfectly. Obviously you're going to have different content in yours. I've left it there just purely for speed today. Great. Well, let's make sure it's going to work on mobile. So if we go down to the bottom here, we've got our responsive devices. Let's have a look on a tablet. Yeah, that's kind of squashed those up in the corner there, which I'm not too pleased about. And on a mobile, yeah, we got nothing there. So I think what I'd like to do for tablet and mobile is maybe have these tabs on top and just display the content underneath, which is what it does on the generic, I believe, but it works. So let's put a little media query in here and see if we can't fix that. I'm going to put it back onto desktop mode. I'm going to go down, and a media query lets you set different CSS for different screen sizes. So I'm going to say at media, and I'm going to open some round brackets, and inside I'm going to say maximum width, and then decide what your maximum width is. I'm actually going to go for around about 900 pixels. That seems to work for me for most tablets and things like that. So anything smaller than 900 pixels, we're going to tell it to do this. So I'm going to add some curly brackets. And inside we can tell it what we want. Well, it's our controls really. So I want this one again, the vertical tabs, Divi Tabs Controls. So I'm going to put that in there, and we can open some more curly brackets. Decide what we want to do with the controls. I think all I probably need to do, let's roll up, is give it a width of perhaps 100%. Let's try that. Width 100%. Put a semicolon in there. Now let's take a look on tablet. That's actually worked. I mean, that fits in there, but it's still not the way I want it, which was on top. I mean, again, that'll fit there, but it looks a bit crowded to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this vert tabs and I'm going to tell it to display block, which should fix that issue. So again, I'm going to copy this. In fact, I'll copy the whole thing. Control C. I'm going to drop down just under above the last curly bracket, because this is what that last line of code is right there. And I'm gonna border, I'm gonna leave as it is, that's not changing. Display, I'm gonna move that and change it to block. That's more like it. Now our little tabs are on top of each other. And you can add a bit of padding to the content if you want to. Looks a little tight there. We can actually do that within the module itself. So there it is on a mobile, on a tablet. Yep, that's doing the same thing. And back to our desktop. Great, so let's publish our code here. And again, don't forget this is down below for anybody who just wants to copy and paste. We'll go back to our page. Let's enable the Visual Builder now, and it will refresh. What I'm going to do for the content, let's take a look at it on tablet again, or mobile. Either one will do. There it is on tablet. That's actually okay. Don't need to put any more gap in there. That works too on the mobile. Fine. Okay, well let's get this back on desktop. Now I just want to tidy this up a little bit. I'm going to take the padding away from the section and the padding away from the row, so perhaps these are butted up against the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little border to the top and bottom of this section, just so it offsets this menu a bit more. It's entirely up to you if you want to do that. So I'm going to go into the section. First thing I'm going to do is take away any spacing, top and bottom padding. I'm going to put a 0 in. Don't need to put the pix in, it'll do it for you. Hit the chain, it'll do the opposite side, the bottom there for you. And while I'm in here, let's give it that light grey border. So border top, I'm going to make that 2 pix. And let's make it light grey in colour. There we go. And I'll do the same for the bottom border. Let's select the bottom border. 2 pix. Light grey in colour. Great. Now let's take away the padding from the row itself. So again, we want to click anywhere within the module here. Green tab for the row. And I'm going to take away the padding top and bottom. Design tab. Spacing. Again, simply put a 0 in. And hit the chain. There we go. We've got it butted up against the top and bottom there, which works for me. Let's save this. We'll save our changes. Let's exit the Visual Builder and see how this is going to work for us. Okay, well that's fine. Option 1. Option 2. It's not going to change because the content's all the same there, like I showed you. Obviously you'd have different content in each of your tabs. And if I hit my responsive F12 here, there it is on an iPad. I'll just make that a bit bigger so you can see better. I think I might add some more padding to the content there. Let's have a look on an iPhone perhaps. And again, that works fine. But I think I just want to add a bit of padding to the top. So before I do that, I mentioned how to pop up a whole section within one of these tabs if you wanted to. Really easy to do. We've got to add a little plugin to do that. It's a free plugin called Divi Supreme Modules Lite. And if we go down to the dashboard, once you download and install it, you'll find it right there. You want to click on it, go to your general settings. Make sure you've got Enable Divi Library Shortcodes switched on so it's purple like that. Save your changes. And the link for this free plugin's down below. Once you've got this installed and activated, if you go to your Divi library, I've got various saved sections and rows and modules here, and each of them now has a little shortcode to the right hand side. So let's take this one, which is a couple of blurb modules. I think it's 3 blurb modules with some CSS code to make the buttons pulsate in color. So I'm going to copy that one. Now we can go back to our page we were working on. Let's enable the Visual Builder. And we'll go back into our module. And perhaps number 6. In the content, I'm simply going to replace that content with that shortcode, and you can mix and match if you want to. There's that shortcode in there now. And also, while I'm in here, let's save this particular tab back to the regular tab settings. I think I wanted to add a bit more space to the content, so let's go to Design, Spacing. I'm going to pop 30 pixels there on my top padding, and as you might have noticed, that pushed that down a bit. Well, let's save this and see what we've got now. Save draft, or publish if you're ready. One thing I didn't mention earlier is to set this as the home page in the theme customizer like we did earlier on. It has to be saved. You can't do it with a draft page because it won't show up in the list. Okay, well, let's exit the Visual Builder. And there we have it. There's our little section that it's popped up for us. So you can use this to pop up 6 different sections if you want to. And that's a great little feature. So there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this today. There's how to make your tabs module vertically stacked on top of each other. I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. Don't forget, if you have any questions, drop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them or make you a video. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.